Hey guys, it's Chris. I just want to take a minute to kind of show you guys how I set up my little Zendrum LT here. I've actually been on the forums and I've seen some other people do videos where they kind of explain their layouts, and I figured maybe I might as well just kind of show you guys what I use. I actually use two different layouts for the Zendrum here. One when I've got it like I've got here now, strapped on, and another when I've got it in front of me on my lap or on a stand or something like that. So for me, I kind of built the whole thing around the idea of one-handed grooves, I guess. So standing up, I tend to use it, kind of like a guitar. I keep my left hand mostly on these three pads down here, the external ones here. So I just got a bass drum, snare, not a snare, hi-hat, and a snare right there. So I can basically just do a really nice, just with the left hand. The left hand's a little weaker than the right, obviously, there. And that kind of leaves all this rest of the Zendrum open for me able to move my right hand around. I've got basically a clone of these same three pads right here. So I got bass, hi-hat, and snare here as well. And then I've got the another version of the hi-hat sound here for a little texture. So I can go. This is just my hi-hat close sound here. I don't really use that too much. I'm thinking about moving it somewhere else. I've got the open hi-hat here, so I can do some that kind of there. And then I've got the cross stick here, a splash cymbal here, a crash cymbal here. And then on this other side of the Zendrum is where I keep kind of my ride cymbal array, as it were. And it's really kind of the same basic principles of what you've got over here, only it's down here. So we got the basic ride. And I've got that in a line with both another bass and another snare. I've got a lot of, bass and snare tend to get cloned a lot in this particular setup, so that I don't have to worry too much about using multiple hands. Over here, I've got just another splash cymbal, another cymbal, another cymbal. These three here are really just cymbal hits for me. Here's where I keep my ride bell. And then I keep, for both hands, I keep my toms in descending order here. So high tom, second tom, third tom, low tom. And in this particular setup, these pads down here are just set as basically auxiliary percussion stuff. I use a Roland TD9 module for this. And so these are basically set for the rim of the three main toms. So depending on what setting I've got it on, I'm on the groove setting now, but if I move it up, let's move it up to one of the freaky ones here to, how about electronica? There we go. So you can see these are the main toms in the electronica setting. And then you've got the auxiliary percussion here. And it kind of just lets me jam around pretty well, I think. I'm going to put it back to a regular drum sound so that I don't go crazy here. How about we use we'll just set it to a jazz kit of some kind. Or fusion. That could be fun. Yeah. So essentially it just kind of lets me move around a little bit. Let me just kind of play a little bit. Oh, I also do have one other thing here. Down below, I don't really want to mess with the laptop too much. I have a Roland KD7 kick pedal, and I've got that set to a bass. I don't really use that too much, except for when I'm playing the toms here. Because what I've discovered is with this particular setup, it's hard to keep continuity with the bass sound if you're down on the toms. So what I do is, generally I won't even use the kick pedal too much while I'm playing the main groove, but when I go into fills, I'll sometimes just kind of step over to the kick pedal and throw that in to give me a little bit more of that bass thump beat in the background. So that's my general setup as far as my Zendrum goes. I've had this for about 1.5 years now. I kind of drift in and out of using it. I've used it with some jams and things like that, and it always gets a pretty interesting response. So let me just play a little bit for you to kind of show you how this setup works in practice, and we'll move on from there. Thanks. And so there, you get the basic idea, kind of how I set this thing up. Anyway, yeah, that's all I just kind of want to show you off these guys. I'm going to do another video probably where I show you some of my other freaky percussion setup. I've been kind of connecting everything I've got here over the last couple of days. So I got my hand sonic and my wave drum and a castellator and God, who knows what else I can hook together. Anyway, I'm Chris Haddad, and that's kind of how I use my wave drum. Oh, my Zendrum. Actually, I did forget to tell you, I do have another setup here. I'm not going to do a lot with it, but the other setup is mostly what I use when I'm sitting down. And let me just zoom up to it for a second. And it's more symmetrical. It lets me play it more like a hand drum. And that setting really just moves things around a little bit. So imagine this is kind of sitting flat on the lap here. It's not quite as comfortable the way it is now. But in that case, I keep my, basically I just clone the outside ridges. So we've got hi-hat, snare, snare, drum, bass, bass. These 4 toms are still where they are. In this case, this is actually set for a ride crash, crash the ride cymbal. I probably keep meaning to change that and don't really do so. But in this case, same as before, except for these 3 pads are moved from here to here. This is just a bunch of different hi-hat variations here. And then a ride cymbal down here. Crash here, same crash there. Splash cymbal. That's my hi-hat left foot. That's kind of that. And that just lets me keep my thumbs kind of more engaged in the jam as I'm going. So if I've got it on a table in front of me, if I'm using one of my other instruments, I can just kind of lean over and throw something in. And you get the idea. So basically there's that. I keep looking for new ways to kind of set this thing up when I'm playing with it. I've got a bunch of other variations I've tried, but those are the 2 that seem to be my favorites right now. Again, unlike some people, I really do end up cloning that snare kind of all over the place. And right there I've got 4 snare drums, 2 bass drums right there. Actually 3. 1, 2, 3 bass drums there. I think there's a cross stick here. Yeah, the cross stick here. Yeah, in this case actually, so we've got snare, snare, and then alternates on the snare between these 2, this one here. Anyway, just another way of doing it. So that's that. Catch you guys later.